Welcome back to the Scoop College Basketball Podcast. We are back for some more conference previews. The first one we are doing right now is the ASUN. Also have the Patriot League planned for right after we're done with this, but you won't know that because there'll probably be a few hours in between when we release these to the public. But if anyone wants to know what's going on behind the scenes, that is what is going on behind the scenes. So yeah, ASUN, pretty fun conference, honestly. Liberty no longer there. They were really fun team in the conference, and also Jacksonville State no longer there. I don't think they were there that long. Was Jacksonville State only there like a few years?
They were good their first year or two, and then fell off They fell off last year.
Yeah, but both those teams are off to Conference USA, but there's still some solid returning talent. As in KenPom, they were ranked 18th in conference, 18th best conference last year. Still at the same place, still 18th. So KenPom does not see a huge fall off coming with the losses of those two teams, which I kind of agree with, considering some of the teams that are in the league, some of the players and stuff. Yeah, Kennesaw State, they won the conference tournament. They went to the NCAA tournament. They gave Xavier a good game. Almost had to upset. Would have loved to see it, but still a very solid season from the Owls. Yeah, what are your first thoughts about the ASUN?
Oh, it's pretty good at the top, and no, honestly, even towards the bottom, it's not terrible.
I think there are three bad teams, and
yeah,
everyone else is like pretty decent.
That's how I feel too. I have three bad teams, and I feel pretty good about the rest.
Yeah, but the all-conference members from last year, Darius McGee exhausts his eligibility. Devontae Blanton, he is back at Eastern Kentucky. Chris Youngblood transferred to South Florida, and we'll tell you why in a second. Jacob Agnesovich is back at Lipscomb, and Jalen Blackman is back at Stetson. On the second team, Terrell Burden is back at Kennesaw State. Kyle Rode, no longer in the conference. Daniel Ortiz transferred to UAB. Carter Hendrickson exhausts his eligibility, and Kenny Dye also exhausts his eligibility. On the third team, Garrett Tipton, he is back at Bellarmine. Cameron Hunter back at Central Arkansas. Isaiah Thompson back at Florida Gulf Coast. Jose Placer transferred to South Florida. AJ McKee back at Queens, and Stephon Swenson back at Stetson. So really not a conference that got like decimated by transfers up. A few transfers, but like really a lot of the all conference guys that could have came back did. So definitely like to see that. A few coaching changes. Corey Gipson from Austin Peay. He is a new coach there. Takes over after a few years of Nate James. I did not go great, but Gibson is bringing a lot of talent with him. So definitely something that could go a lot better. And Antoine Petway from Kennesaw State, he is taking over because Amir Abdur-Rahim took the South Florida job. Brought a few of his Kennesaw players with him. Phenomenal coach. Turned that program from nothing into a almost tournament winner in the first round. And Petway comes over from Alabama. He was an assistant there. All three Alabama assistants are now head coaches from last year, which is pretty remarkable. So yeah, moving to our all-conference teams, who would you have as your ASUN player of the year?
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with DeMarcus Sharp. I'm gonna play it safe.
It's respectable.
Sharp.
I think there's a safer play. I went with that. I went with Devontae Blanton.
Yeah,
I think
that's a good one.
He's really good. He might be the best returner in the conference. He's on, in my eyes, the best team. In most people's eyes, the best team. And he is really good. Very skilled for his size. Can kind of facilitate a little bit. Pretty skilled, mobile. Kind of has it all, honestly. And I really like his team. So a big Blanton guy. I obviously had Sharp on my first team as well. Was phenomenal last year at Northwestern State. Won the player of the year in that conference. So he could win back-to-back player of the years in two different conferences, which would be pretty outstanding and not out of the picture.
No.
Who's another? I'm assuming you had Blanton on your first team then.
Yeah, obviously. And I have Jalen Blackman of Stetson.
Okay.
I think he's the best player. I do like Stetson this year. I think they got some good freshmen. I do like the returners with Josh Smith as well back. I like their team, and I think he is their best player. So
okay, I had him as my first team as well. Terrell Burden is another guy I had in my first team. Was the heart and soul of Kennesaw State's team last year. The point guard. He's gets a little bit of an elevated role with obviously no Youngblood next to him. So I think Burden is going to establish himself on the first team this year.
All right. I have Jacob Agnesevich on
Yep,
my reverse team from Lipscomb.
same.
He was terrific last year. Amazing
Yep,
efficiency. I put him on one of my top 10 underrated mid-major players
yeah.
posts.
He doesn't get a lot of
He's
buzz. Like he,
no,
yeah.
he knows his game. He's not really fancy. He's good in the mid-range, shoot the three a little. And yeah, no, he's gonna be Lipscomb's best player by a long shot
Oh,
this year.
absolutely. So did you have Burden on your first team or
No, my second
did,
team.
okay. So who was your last player on your first team
So
then?
I have another Kennesaw State member, Demond Robinson from
Okay.
Kennesaw
I had him
State.
second team.
I think he is a really good inside scorer. I think he's a really good, for a team that lacks rim protection, I think he is their best rim protector. So he's really good on the glass, really good around the rim. And yeah, I just wanted to put a big there. But Savage is kind of like a 3 or a
Yeah.
4 too. So
Definitely a very guard heavy conference.
it is. The rest of my
Which
teams are
is
all guard heavy. My second
yeah.
team's 5 guards.
Most of my
So
teams are centered around the guards. So yeah, moving to the second team. One guard I had was Isaiah Thompson for Florida Gulf Coast, former Purdue transfer, had a solid year last year. Florida Gulf Coast kind of disappointing considering the level of talent they had, but he saw a very solid year in his own right. Was their lone all conference member, so I had him my second team.
I left him off. I'm not a huge
All your
fan of
teams?
his. Yeah, no. I think they need to
Uh,
make a change at the number one option. And, if they want to get better this year, that needs to happen. And I think they
who
do
would be a
have,
better number one option on the team now?
I think Josiah Shackelford from the JUCO level. I really
Wasn't he
think
hurt last year?
yes.
Okay.
He
Okay.
was really good 2 years ago. Shot like 70% at the JUCO level, 18 a game. He's huge. He's got guard skills, like 6'9". And I like Chase Johnston too, a little more than honestly
Yeah,
Thompson.
he's a shooter though.
He can create a little for himself. If you watch him,
A
he's
little bit, but like
creating abilities.
he is a shooter more or less.
Thompson's just an inefficient
Um,
jack. Like we don't really, I don't know. I don't think he's best as a number one. But he will have his numbers this year. But if Florida Gulf Coast wants to live up to a top 3 potential, I'm not sure Isaiah Thompson could be your number one guy. That's just how I
yeah.
feel.
I guess Johnson really wasn't as much of a shooter as I thought he was. Him and
Mhm.
Thompson both had almost the same numbers of twos and threes made.
Yeah,
So
honestly,
yeah.
he was
But
good in the
Johnson
mid
is like a
range
really
too.
good shooter. That's what he
He
really
is.
excels at.
hmm
Formerly
So
played at
I
Stetson.
had
So
AJ
really shout out.
McKee of Queens. Love AJ
Yeah.
McKee. I think he really went under the radar last year with Dye and McLaurin. And other guys that Queens had that really put up
Yeah.
points. He's underrated, and I think he's going to be Queens' best player this year. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. I have him there as well. Another player I have is Garrett Tipton for Bellarmine. Very solid returning point guard. Bellarmine runs a great system of basketball.
they do.
Very smart. Very well coached. So yeah, slid him on my second team there.
So I have Jakari Lane of Northern
Yep,
Alabama.
that was my final
Um,
member.
so I think Northern Alabama was pretty solid this year. I don't think
He
they're
was very good
terrible.
as a freshman.
He was. I think him and KJ Johnson are going to be a great backcourt this year.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to seeing those two play. So I have Cameron Hunter as well on my second team.
Okay.
Think he's going to put up points, and they literally have nobody else. So
Yeah. I did my third team. I mean,
this is going to be the Jaden
um
Epps of the
he's
conference.
good, but yeah,
And then
that's a good comparison.
I have Jamonta Black as my last
Okay.
second team member. Not the most efficient player, but he's going to put up a lot of shots with Sharp.
He's not inefficient. He's a shooter. Like he
Yeah,
shoots like only
he's a
threes
volume
basically.
guy. He
So his
is.
percentage isn't like his overall shooting percentage isn't like super high, but
I think him
he's
and
a
Sharp are
he's a
going to get a
great
lot of
shooter.
shots.
Let me pull up his
I think 39%
those,
from the field, but he's more of a 3-point shooter,
but
like you
those are
said.
like all threes basically. I'm trying to find so I can find his like true shooting percentage, but Ken Palm is
Probably a little better.
let's see. Yeah, his
Low 50s.
true shooting percentage was like 57. So he was
Oh,
very
that's
efficient
good.
shooter.
That
I
is
mean,
good.
he basically only shot threes and
Mm-hmm.
So like 37%
Can't
on
really go from
120
field goal
makes.
percentage,
Yeah.
yeah, because he doesn't shoot
Yeah.
many twos.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
good
look
point.
towards true shooting percentage and effective
Yeah,
field goal
I
percentage
do.
more. That definitely
It's funny.
shares the
I
whole
use true
picture.
shooting a ton in the NBA when I look at NBA
Mm,
players, but it's
yeah,
starting to catch on in college more. I just got to know where
yeah.
to find it. It is the best efficiency stat. So,
Side note, but like D2 doesn't really have publicized true shooting percentages. But I was looking up at Quell Koch, like calculating it out in some true shoot. It was like
oh, yeah,
66.
that's crazy. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I don't know.
That's
I think
unheard of.
I think it's the same way to other calculations too because I like tested some other player. But yeah. Side note, I can't wait to watch him in Wyoming. But
Hmm.
very side note. Yeah, I came under my third team. Can really score the ball, but
And I
Central
Burden
Arkansas
as
is
my
not good.
second team. Um,
Yeah.
Great
Uh,
defender as well.
who?
So Terrell Burden.
Okay, yeah, you already talked about that. But yeah, I love Jamonta Black off. I really like Jamonta Black, but I went Desi Jones instead. Desi
Okay.
Jones is more of a well-rounded player. I mean, obviously Black was
Yes.
very good at shooting the ball, but I mean Jones was all conference in the MAC, very pretty efficient as well, good passer. Should fit well next to Sharp, I honestly think.
Hmm.
I think that could be a very good backcourt in this conference.
I left
Um,
him off, unfortunately. I just
yeah.
don't know where the shots are going to be, but I got to see how
That's
those three
that's
work.
respectable.
I don't know. But Desi is really good. Like, I have
Mm,
nothing
yeah,
against Desi.
absolutely.
So, third team, I
Um,
have KJ Johnson. Um,
okay. I just left him off. I wanted to put him on. I just like didn't have enough spots.
think him and Lane are going to get a pretty equal distribution of points, just like they did last year. Both had around 12 a game. So,
Hmm.
he was hurt during the conference tourney, which hurt. They were gonna hopefully make a run, in my opinion, but didn't really happen with him out. So, next I got Garrett Tipton. I think Bellarmine's gonna be even better this year, honestly. I
Yeah,
think they
a
got
lot of
they got a little
continuity.
older. Last year I remember their team was full of like complete like freshmen and sophomores, and they still overperformed.
They were pretty
Um,
young. Yeah.
they were a young team last year. They got older. They bring Freem back. They bring him back. I think they're going to be good this year. So then on my third team, I have Josiah Shacklesford, Florida Gulf Coast. I think he is going to really take on that shot creating role that they really need. They need somebody who can be a shot. Rick Anderson's not really that. Chase Johnston's that in a sense. I'd say a Thompson is that, but he's like 5'10, 5'11, like as a number one guy.
Yeah.
And it showed last year in games. Like, he wasn't really getting it done as a number one.
Yeah. One guy I have is Stefan Swenson, returning all conference play. Very solid point guard for Stetson. Did you have him on there?
I just left him off. Yeah.
Um,
I have BJ McLaurin from Queens. I think he's going to
okay.
take a step up in production with Dye leaving. He's more of a forward, but
Yeah, I
he's
mean
guard
Taylor's
skills.
leaving right there, so and
Mm.
Jaden
Um,
Taylor.
yeah, so I think he's gonna definitely average double digits this
Yeah,
year.
definitely someone I consider. I went with Zach Anderson, Florida Gulf Coast. I kind of like Florida Gulf Coast as a team, so I decided to include
Hmm.
another player from the Eagles. So yeah, he's my second
He's
to last
solid.
member on the
No,
third.
Zach
Yeah,
Anderson plays a good role.
very
Three
solid
and D,
forward.
yeah. Tayshawn Calmer from Eastern Kentucky is my last member. Someone
Okay.
I have breaking out, and I think you do as well. Now I think he's in for a big jump in production. We'll see if he gets the shots to really
Yeah,
take that jump in the double
that's
digit
my
scoring.
issue.
But we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, my last guy was Isaiah Kozar for Eastern Kentucky. One to include two Eastern Kentucky guys on here, and he is a dominant rim protector. Not gonna put up like a ton of points, but he's still very efficient, very physical big man, and again, elite
I
shot
thought I had
blocker.
him on mine. Oh man, yeah, I gotta put him on there instead of
Did
Comer.
you?
I had him like second team, bumped him off
Yeah.
somehow. So Kozar's good. 9-7, really good
I
defender.
mean, really good rebounder, efficient
Yeah.
from inside. Not a high usage guy, but
Hmm.
very solid big man. little undersized, but still very his
Yeah,
size.
no.
His
EKU doesn't like having huge fives because they play very fast. So that's
yeah,
just their style.
yes. Let's see. Top 10 transfers. I posted my top 10 transfer list the other day, so it's nothing new, but I haven't heard yours. Number one, I have DeMarcus Sharp. I would assume you have the same. A lot of Austin P at the top. I have Desi Jones at
Mm-hmm.
two.
Yeah, same. I have
And
Desi Jones at
Jamonta
two.
Black at three.
Uh, I have Haney at three. Does he have a waiver?
No, I don't think he's going to play this year, but I still had him at five. Still wanted to include him. Still wanted to give him his props. Very good player. While making big impact next year. So where'd you have Black then?
I had Black fifth. Because
Okay.
obviously I just glossed over his field goal percentage, and I should have known better because I knew him at Missouri State very well, and he was
Yeah,
a
he
guy that
was
hits
good
a lot of
there.
threes, and he was good there.
Number four though, I have Keyshawn Kellman, Florida
Same.
Gulf Coast, very efficient, very smart big man that played at Princeton. Might be there's like 6-man big man might work his way in the starting lineup, but he should be a very solid player. Comes from a team that won a lot, was a very impactful player on that team. Yeah. Who'd you have at number six?
So I have DeJuan Pruitt from
Okay.
Jacksonville. The guy SIUE who got in a little altercation,
He
but
did
he's a good
throw a
player.
punch.
I think he
Or
will be good there.
he did borderline commit assault. Maybe he did commit assault on a basketball court. But yeah, I had him number seven. I mean, he's a good player, really good rebounder. As long as we don't get any more punches, I think he's a very solid player.
Mm. And at seven, I had Robert McCray the fifth from Wake
Yeah, I had him at
Forest.
six. So
Um,
flip flop
Pretty
there.
high transfer
Yeah.
from a Power Five.
Yeah,
And
didn't
I
play this
actually,
past season, but
yeah,
played 2 years ago. Didn't really play that much at Wake Forest, but was a highly regarded recruit. Has some good size. I think it should
yeah.
translate
I
well.
think Jacksonville's
Jacksonville.
pretty solid. I don't hate them this year.
Hmm. Well, we'll
They're
talk about that.
an interesting combination of players though at the same time.
We'll
So,
talk about that. Um,
mhm.
Number eight, I have Dalian Johnson. I mean, he wasn't great at Penn State, but kind of get on the court.
Can shoot the ball.
Playing with
He's a good shooter.
was he
That's his
recruited?
MO.
Did he play under Pat Chambers, or was he recruited?
No, he was from Schurz, pretty sure.
Was
Yeah,
he
he was a
recruited by
freshman.
Pat? Was he recruited by Pat Chambers though?
I don't think so. Maybe.
Hmm. I was just thinking because there's the obvious connection there.
That's true.
Going from Penn State
There
to
are some
Florida.
assistants as well, on
Yeah,
Chambers' staff that
I'd be surprised if there was no connections there from his time at.
that's true though. There's definitely something.
But yeah, should be a very solid player in his conference. Wasn't much at Penn State, but gave him some solid minutes here and there. Should be able to. I mean, he'll be more of a glue guy too in at Florida Gulf Coast, but I think he can be pretty solid in
Yeah,
that
they
role.
need help shooting the ball, so I like to pick up.
Yeah. Um, who'd you have at eight?
I Downing. Yeah.
Okay.
Downing was I think pretty easily eight.
Number nine, another down transfer, Pierce Thomas from Butler going to Eastern Kentucky. Should give them a real spark off the bench.
I saw he's
Good
a big recruit
athlete.
at Butler too.
Yeah, I mean, decently ranked recruit. Yeah, I think he's still fairly young if
He's a
I'm not.
junior.
Okay,
Yeah,
so 2 years left.
pretty
Yeah.
sure. So I had him
So
at nine, and I had Jamel King of Kennesaw State at 10 from West
okay.
Virginia.
Number 10, I went with Tim Smith Jr., a D2 transfer from Walsh University. Put up some really good numbers there, honestly. I could have moved him a little bit higher. I think he's going to be really impactful at North Alabama. Good size. Should really be able to
They
translate
have a lot
nice
of
up
D2 and
to the
JUCO at Northern Alabama.
yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like they have a few JUCO guys that should.
be pretty good. Yeah, he
They have
was one of
yeah,
them.
a few JUCO. Yeah, he's a D2 guy, but still, yeah, lower transfer should make an impact in the starting lineup. I think right away. Um, Now moving to breakout players. Did you have 20 breakout players for the ASUN?
No, so I had nine. Yeah, we went with
Okay.
nine.
Yeah, I guess you can start listing them off, and I'll see if we agree on any.
I had just want to get my roster up while I'm saying these. Oh gosh, all these Patriot League rosters. Ugh. Gosh, I hate that conference. Uh, there we go. So I have from Kennesaw, I have Simeon Cottle. I think he is going to be a guy who's going to help the losses in that backcourt. He is a sophomore, played pretty well his freshman year, but again, they had so many good guards last year. It was so hard to break the rotation. Um, yeah, no, he was big in the Xavier game actually. But he averaged like 10 minutes a game, averaged 4 points a game, 41% from the field, 39% from three. I just think
Okay.
his volume's definitely going to increase this year.
Yeah,
So
I went with a Kennesaw State guy as well. I went with Quincy Adam Okoya. I think he's just likely to be in a starting lineup, which is why I put him in there. Good
Temple
athleticism for the
legend
conference. Yeah, Temple transfer should be able to make a little bit more impact.
for sure.
Should be a solid player on both ends. With the starting minutes he gets. So yeah, you can
Really,
look up.
I mean, Kennesaw did a fantastic job reloading. I have to say,
I agree. I
they
mean,
couldn't.
yeah,
They lost a
yeah.
lot. They lost, some good players. And they kept Burden, they kept Robinson, and then they
Mm-hmm.
got some really good transfers from Power Fives. And they
They
got
got
some really
transfers
good
from Power
freshmen.
Fives. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
they weren't good. They're Power Five, but they have potential.
Um,
Good freshmen too. But yeah,
and I am huge on KJ Johnson. So we're gonna get into that later though. So next I have Jamel King.
okay.
Believe
Kennesaw, yeah.
yeah, it's the West Virginia guy.
West Virginia didn't really play West Virginia, but Power Five recruit can't go wrong
Mm-hmm.
with that at Kennesaw.
Yeah, I have Tayshawn Comer.
Okay.
So chewing.
I think I about Comer. I think he could get better efficiency wise, but at the same time, like they have
Volume.
everyone back.
Mhm.
Like
You're not
he'll
wrong.
still be splitting mints with Leland Walker. Um,
Mm,
I'm just not really sure like where he, but I think he could definitely get better. Like I could definitely see him average a few more points and way more efficient
hmm
shooting.
For sure.
But overall, not a crazy breakout for me because
Yeah, I get that.
there's so much continuity.
Even if he plays his tail off, it's gonna be hard to get him in there. Uh,
Yeah.
I have Chris Ashby of Queens. I think he had like what 7 a game last year. With Kenny Digon, who's probably
Yeah.
their highest usage guy. I think he's gonna take a step in the double digits for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely see it happening. I'll just go with the guy, Dorian James from North Florida. North Florida is not a team I particularly like, and they're going to need
No.
someone to break out. I'm with him. He was probably their best returning player. Not that they have a lot of returning players to begin with, but should be a solid player. Was efficient when he played last year, and I think he is a guy that could take that next step up.
All right, yeah. So I have Anton Brookshire from Austin Peay.
Okay, I
I think they're
don't
gonna
know if he'll be
eligible. We have
eligible.
Mizzou, Iona, Austin Peay. There you
He was
go.
like low key not bad at Iona though. Like
He
I
wasn't.
fully see the vision that if he's eligible, he could be good, but I
I
wouldn't
don't
be
think he will
counting on
be.
it.
Yeah. Yep. So there's that. I have Jonathan Dunn of Austin Peay as well.
Okay,
Um,
redshirt freshman, I believe,
yeah, yeah.
from Missouri State. Yeah,
hmm
yeah,
Think he probably brings some athleticism, things like that.
definitely.
I have Blaze Vespi of Florida Gulf Coast. So this is going to be an interesting one. It's just somebody I'm familiar with. He got some minutes last year. Chambers has a lot of connection to the Philadelphia area. Um, I didn't expect him to get time last year, but in the minutes he did play later on in the season because of the front court wasn't really playing well. He's 6'7" combo forward guard.
Yeah, yeah,
He played in a really good high school league, in the Catholic League. And he's a good offensive player. No, and I think Florida Gulf Coast still needs help offensively, so I think he's going to
yeah.
get some time.
Yeah, my next player I have is Alec Oglesby for Stetson. He figures to go into their starting lineup. He's a really good shooter. Played significant minutes on a Cleveland State team as a freshman that made the tournament.
He was on UNC
Yeah,
Wilmington
yeah,
too.
UNC Wilmington didn't play much. Didn't play
Yeah.
many games there, but yeah, he should be a solid shooter. Maybe he can expand his offensive game a little bit more. But yeah, should take a jump naturally with the more minutes he gets.
And then I have Curtis Hop of Bellarmine.
Okay.
Somebody
There's a
who
guy I
comes back
definitely
this
looked
year.
at but didn't choose.
And yeah, I just think him and Tipton are going to be definitely their two best guys. So,
They're pretty balanced. So I
yeah,
wouldn't.
that's true. They're not going to get huge jumps here and there,
But yeah, he's definitely a guy that could see a jump with the more minutes that he's gonna get. Another guy I had is AJ McGinnis for Lipscomb. Been
since he
around a few different
transfer.
schools since I think he played at UNT Greensboro. But was pretty solid last year. And second year in the program, second year transfers are oftentimes very good. And so I think he could see a breakout. They could use some more pop in their backcourt for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I'm not very high on Lipscomb, but we'll get into that.
Okay. Do you have more
That's
guys?
that's everyone. Yeah.
Was that 9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, my last guy is Jarius Cook for Jacksonville. Was a good player at North Dakota State.
He was.
Didn't do much at Jacksonville last year. Jacksonville was not a team that I'm particularly high, and I think they're going to need guys like him to step up in the
Definitely lacking the
backcourt.
top end talent. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one
yes,
problem.
absolutely. So yeah, I think he's a guy that um could be impactful there. All freshman team now. Who let's off some of your guys.
So RJ Johnson from Kennesaw State, someone who I think he was from Alabama. He was
A
some
former Alabama commit.
yes, I knew he had some connection to
Also, I
Alabama.
don't know if you have this guy too, but another former high major commit on Kennesaw State as Chase Clemens. I believe he was formerly committed to Nebraska. Also a pretty decently ranked recruit. I had him there too, just
I think I
throwing it out
left
there.
him off. I have Jamel King on
Okay.
there.
Is he a freshman now? Did
I
he
think
tech?
he's a rich.
I mean, he played a few games, but I don't know if he. Let me. I don't. Hmm. That's a good question because I know he like barely played. If he's a redshirt freshman, I'll give it to you. But if
Or
he's
wait a
not,
minute. What did I was probably trying to go for someone else. Oh yeah, I was trying to go with Frank Juan Sherman. Yes. That is someone who was, but he's a junior. He's a junior,
okay. Hmm.
which is
Might
surprising.
still have more eligibility than that. Oh, maybe not. Maybe okay. Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Frank Juan Sherman's a 6'7" combo. Yeah. I probably see why you went with Clemens because they don't have as much depth at guard, and they do have some front court depth, especially with King,
yeah.
guys like that. So
Another guy I had is Javian Guy King for Central Arkansas. I think he has a chance for a minute right away. Central Arkansas is not that good. And he was a solidly rated recruit himself. Should see some big minutes on the wing there for the Bears. Yeah, just he's gonna see minutes. I think he's just good in general. So yeah.
So I have two Stetson freshmen. I have Tristan Gross, high 3-star.
Definitely considered him, but didn't quite
Really
pull the
good
trigger.
player, from what I hear. And then I have Alex Doyle,
Okay.
6'10", really highly touted prospect. Probably not gonna completely pan out this year, more of a project player and get better
Okay.
in 2 to 3. But he has a lot of guard skills at 6'9" as well, from what I hear. So I always love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've let's see. Do you have any more guys then?
I have David Onanina from Eastern
Okay.
Kentucky.
Redshirt freshman then.
Redshirt freshman. I think he's going to be really, like I said earlier, they don't really love running pure fives, but he is a pure five. He's a good rim protector. So if they do want more rim protection, he's going to be an option for them.
Yeah. I have two more guys. One is Bryce Cash for Queens. I think he's a guy that could see some guard minutes right away. Should be able to contribute a little bit there. And then my last guy is Cody Head for Lipscomb. Should be a solid backup point guard and also see some minutes as a freshman in this conference. So are we ready to go into our conference standings?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, going with the individual team previews, first we have ASUN Peay, who was last in conference last year. Where do you have them sitting this year?
I have him sixth.
Okay, I have them fifth. The big thing here is that Corey Gipson brought his team from Northwestern State from him. DeMarcus Sharp, player of the year in the Southland, kind of a do-it-all player, averages 19.5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. kind of, yeah, very solid, very versatile, very skilled.
It's a shame
Pretty,
Brookshire and Haney don't have waivers.
yeah.
It's gonna
It's
suck.
also a real shame that Jordan Wilmore probably won't have one either.
The
Kyle is
goat. The goat.
Kyle is the biggest Jordan Wilmore fan. Really
Skill
blazes his
Academy.
way to 0.9 points per game in the Southland, despite being like 7-3 and starting some games. Let me pull up his numbers though. Not saying Jordan Wilmer, but he has some odd
We're a fan
numbers
club.
considering his
Stop.
let's see. Yeah, like the thing is he like kind of played. Like he played like 9.2
Oh, he
minutes a game,
did.
started 12 games, and he still like didn't even average a point a game. But I mean, he's a serviceable rim protector.
Yeah. True, he's a mountain of a man.
Yeah, it's you're gonna block some shots when you're that big, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it, I don't understand how he's so unskilled
Mizzou. I don't know how he's Mizzou.
because he started some games in Mizzou too.
He did. I remember when Tillman would get into foul trouble. Like they were like, "Oh, we got to start Wilmore. We got to put him in."
They also got Hansel Emmanuel, the one
Mhm.
arm sensation. He's actually kind of good.
He's a good
Like
player.
he was
No,
playing some real minutes down the stretch
he
for Northwestern
was.
State.
That's what people
Like
don't really understand. He's not
I
like
I think
the
it's gonna be hard for him to get like
yeah.
too many minutes, but
People think
he
he's a
could play.
disability guy that plays at the end of games. He's
No,
not. Like,
he
he
can
actually
play.
plays in meaningful minutes. But this year, I think it'll be tougher. But then again, now that
Yeah.
Brookshire and Haney don't have waivers, like
They're not a super deep team,
they're
especially with the
not.
waivers. He could play some real minutes off the bench, like
You could.
six
I definitely
man
could see it.
type of role. Yeah, but Desi Jones, we already touched on him earlier. All
Great
conference
shot
guard in the
creator.
MAC. Like he's the guy that I was like, whoa, like how did they get him? I think he's actually from Missouri and knows a lot of these guys, but like still like,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean like you're gonna get Haney, Sharp, Black. But like Desi Jones, like that's an all conference guy in a completely different conference on the other side of the
Hmm.
country. So that's a significant get. Point guard, good passer, efficient scorer, should really help them. Yeah, Isaac Haney, good scorer, good defender. Probably won't be eligible this year. Jamonta Black can shoot the lights out of the ball. Is he a grad? I don't know if he's eligible. I don't
Hmm.
know that he's like. I don't know. There's been talk that he's not.
Who, Jamonza? He's a
Yeah,
grad, I believe.
okay, if he's a grad, he's fine. It seems like he'd be a grad. He's been in college for a minute.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting lost in
So
Peay's defense, like defense is going to be a struggle, especially without Brookshire. I think Brookshire is going to be one of their better defenders. Um, so that was a problem at Northwestern State, even as good as they were. It's just going to be hard to not play defense in this conference, and especially with teams like Queens that try and do that. You got to have play some defense. And yeah, I think that's definitely. I like Gipson. I do. Great offensive coach, but the defensive end's got to get better this year.
yeah, I mean Gibson just like out talented the Southland.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little hard to do that in the ASUN.
Mm.
Definitely a stronger conference as a whole. So
Especially stronger 1 through 5.
probably not gonna happen. I'm just gonna check the roster one more time. I think I missed some
Now, if
players.
they had more
Um,
waivers, I would have them higher for
Cy
sure.
Witt is a guy they got from.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize I've heard a name. He played at Lincoln D2
He's pretty
school.
good. I remember looking at him.
Averaged 13 and like 8 there, so he should be impactful. Um,
They
you
don't have
got
much depth at big, so he's going to play.
you got Daniel Luce, his son of or not. I don't know if he's son or grandson of legendary Austin Peay coach Dave Luce, but yeah, he's actually not a guy that's gonna play. Um, yeah, Jalen Ware returner actually could see some minutes. Ashton Smith at Chattanooga. I don't know if this guy's a scholarship or not. He played like 2 games there.
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah,
not sure.
next team. That's all I talk about. Ashton Be next team is um Central Arkansas. I think we both said we had them last.
Yeah.
They're
No, they're
not
bad.
that good. Cam Hunter's very solid player.
I feel like they've been in the basement of this conference for a while now.
Outside of that, it's hard to see what they really have.
Um,
Daniel Sofield is a West Florida transfer D2. Should be able to provide some pop in the backcourt. Guy
Young team.
King, the rising freshman, I guess. Ubangabasia team. Bowling Green, I believe he was a redshirt freshman there.
He looked all right.
That's your starting big. Masai Olakwere, another guy should start. Just not a
How long has their coach been there?
3 years.
All right.
I don't know what his contract details are like, but I wouldn't bet on that to get renewed.
That seat is getting a little warm.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not a great
They've
team.
been in the basement for a little bit now too.
Cameron Hunter had such an interesting offseason. Remember when he was like in the portal and remember when
That's
he
right.
committed, he like released a top 4. I don't remember. Let me actually look and find
That
it
was
out. But
him. I remember
it was
that.
Arkansas. He committed to Butler.
Look, he could even see Butler trying to pursue someone like him, knowing the other players they pursued this offseason.
Yeah, he was pretty much exactly what they were going for. But yeah. Okay, so we announced a top 5: Arkansas, Mizzou, Butler, Loyola, Chicago, and St. Louis. But then committed to Butler, and then it's like, yeah, you know what? I'll just go back to Central Arkansas. Well, he's gonna put up numbers there. Probably gonna have a better pro stock there at least. Very good player though. The rest of the team just isn't that good. Maybe he's a little inflated by the team he plays on and the shots he's able to take, but still like him in general. Next team, Jacksonville. I have them 10th.
Jacksonville 8th.
Okay. I don't think this is a very good team. Jossie Powell could be impactful. Believe they have Bryce Workman returning from injury. I think he didn't play last season.
He looked good. He was good 2 years ago.
Averaged nearly 10 points per game. Should be very solid.
That's what I was counting on.
Dijon Pruitt.
Yes.
Very solid. But outside of that, not a ton. I mean, McCray, maybe.
Jossie Powell's solid.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. I think he could be the best player this year. If Workman isn't like what he was.
Marcus Nablack from Northwest Florida State, solid.
Yeah, I think he's going to be their starting point guard. Very, very solid. They don't have a backup.
And then if McCray is anything, that's a nice addition to.
Yeah,
Jairus Cook is good.
Could be better. Jonathan Curtis is he's a serviceable backup center at least. Took some other random transfers like Stephon Payne from Incarnate Word, averaged 6 a game there, kind of whatever, I guess. He's a forward, so I guess you take that. Zach Bell from Chipola.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a little high on this team, but if Workman's just had trouble staying healthy,
yeah,
right?
I still don't like. They lost a lot, like Kavion Nolan, Jordan Davis, Mike.
Nolan's solid,
yeah.
But like if Workman can stay healthy, you get Pruitt, you have McCray become something. Black and Powell are solid.
That's a lot of things have to happen. That's a lot of things that have to happen.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, the teams around them that you might have higher, I don't really think of much of either. And I think this team will be pretty good defensively. So they do have that going for them. Jacksonville is always a good defensive team. And I don't see that changing. So, but they offensively is always an adventure for them.
Yeah. I just don't see them getting that much better. But yeah, I mean, they were solid-ish on defense last year, for sure. Definitely better than their offense, which was not great. Not the worst it could have been, but it definitely wasn't great either. Next team, though, Queens. I have Queens at 9.
Yeah, I have them.
It was at the. You have them. Do you think they're worse than Jacksonville? Like, I think Queens is good.
I probably shouldn't have them there.
I have them at 9, Jacksonville at 10, but there was a huge gap between the two. Queens was just at the bottom of all the good teams. Jacksonville was at the top of the bad teams, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, like AJ McKee should be really good. Caleb Matthews, I think, returns. Should be a solid wing there, and then BJ McLaurin and Gavin Raines. That's a solid front court. Raines is a elite rebounder. And McLaurin has a little
Queens is
more.
like the opposite of Jacksonville, right? They're all offense, no defense. That's the problem, right? They're the opposite end of the spectrum, and they are going to have a lot of offensive options.
At
But
least with Queens, you know what you're getting though. Like you
mhm,
know all these players. They bring
that's
like all
true.
of these guys back. They
That's
bring in a
true.
few JUCO guys, but they had pretty good stats at good JUCOs. Like a few good freshmen. And Malcolm Wilson too is coming over.
Oh man,
Wasn't he like a manager at Georgetown last year? Do you remember that? Like he wasn't even gonna play, and he like randomly suited up later in the season. Like he was a manager. Like he's like just like a 7'2" guy, just like rebounding for practice or
Patrick
something.
Ewing, yeah,
Yeah, he's not that good, but he's a
funny.
huge guy. So I mean, you think he could at least play some solid backup big minutes in the conference.
Hmm.
Any more thoughts on Queens though?
Yeah, I'm probably a little low on them, admittedly.
Yeah,
But
I think you are too.
um,
I think this is a good
but
this
I
is a good
know they're
team.
not good defensively, and that was a problem
Yeah,
last year.
yeah,
So,
it's definitely true. But
and I know Jacksonville does have the edge there, but if Jacksonville, they obviously aren't as good offensively. They need a lot
yeah,
of stuff to
and
go
they
right.
have like so many random pieces too. Like
They do. It's a
Queens is
random,
like has like four returning players that
right? Yeah.
four of their starters are returning players that should be very good. Their other guys a good JUCO transfer. Like they have a few returning players off the bench. Actually, like one, but then their backup is filled with like some more JUCO players, good
They're a
freshmen.
fun
So
team to watch, though.
yeah,
No, Queens
absolutely
is really fun.
play fast, good offense, a lot to like there. Um,
They're going to
Next
be a
team
good
now,
new D1 for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Definitely one of the better new D1s in recent memory. Florida Gulf Coast, I had him second.
Wow, it's funny, right? I was all in on the Pat Chambers train last year, went balls to the wall. Howard had them high. I had them third. I had my doubts. Yeah,
They
I
did.
definitely a little more reserved than I was because of last year. Right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I
They
do
yeah.
like Stetson a lot. So let me get into that. But
Okay.
yeah, no, Florida Gulf Coast, I just hope the same problems don't arise. At least I think Demir Bishop's gone, so that's good.
Yeah, he was awful.
He was so
Um,
disappointing, man.
he wasn't as bad as he was at St. Joe's.
Right.
And
Well,
he was like
you
one
set the
of
bar pretty
the
low there.
yeah, he was not good.
It's awful.
But their only real loss is probably Caleb Cato, who actually wasn't that good either.
He got worse as his career went
He was
on.
solid. He was a guy that like played a lot, but like wasn't that great in the minutes he played.
Yeah, he peaked
Serviceable,
earlier in his career when he was a really good shooter.
but like really they bring a lot back. Bring
And
Thompson
maybe,
back.
and yeah,
R-
maybe they do get better with those two guys gone.
Regardless of your thoughts about Thompson, he's still high level mid major player.
Hmm.
Chase Johnson, solid backup
I
backcourt
like
mate
Chase.
as well.
Hmm.
Delian Johnson, obviously, we talked about him, should be good. And their front court's good too, like Zach Anderson, Andre Weir, Keyshawn Kellman. Should be a pretty solid trio there. And then you have Shackelford, kind of a wild card. Maybe gets him into the front court as well. Don't know how he's going to be coming back from injury, but he was a very
Yeah.
highly regarded JUCO prospect. Um,
Mm.
Ramir Barno, incoming freshman point guard, could see some time. You got Blaze Vespi, Dakota Rivers could see some minutes. He was
I'm rooting for him, man. No doubt about it. It's just, the number one option thing is my biggest fear for sure.
Dakota Rivers actually a guy that could be pretty good.
For sure.
He was very
Dakota's
good
nice.
last year. The finishing numbers like him. So
He
I
got
think
better. So he got more minutes as the season went on for sure.
yes, actually, yeah, I think he could be really good. Um,
Then they
yeah,
have the Ole Miss transfer. What's his name?
the
From
Ole
two
Miss
years ago.
transfer.
Uh,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me see.
Is it some like walk
Well, they
on?
have they have Largy as well. He played a little.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
a
not.
walk on Franco Miller Jr. He's a
Uh,
grad.
he came from Ole
Um,
Miss. I have him on my scholarship chart. Maybe,
he played last year.
yeah, he's a
No, he
scholarship
played a good
player.
bit.
He came from Ole Miss.
Yeah, 2 years ago, or I think. Yeah, it says on the website. He was at Ole Miss at 2019. Wow. Redshirt freshman, and then as a freshman at Ole Miss, he didn't even play. He's a high recruit. Yeah. He averaged 25 and 6 in Canada. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, he kind of played his freshman year almost. Like, didn't actually play, but like got some game action. Okay. Yeah, he's not that good though.
Nah,
yeah. I mean, he's a backup point guard, I guess. Yeah. Should be a solid team overall, though. I think they'll hopefully live up to expectations more. They were a talented team last year that failed kind of to live up to what they were capable of. I think the piece they had are really nice. Shackelford, obviously coming
back is huge.
Coming back. Kelman.
Kelman's good. Yeah.
Kelman very good. Johnson should make an impact. Yeah, Ramir Barno is like a top 200 player too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chambers does recruit well. That's always been a strength of his.
Especially at a school like Florida Gulf Coast, it's a bit easier to out-recruit your competition.
For sure.
Let's see. Next team, Bellarmine. I had him at 7. Another team that I feel like I wanted to have higher, I just couldn't.
I have them 5.
That's perfectly respectable. They're gonna do better in 7th. I just know it, but
yeah,
they return a lot. Garrett Timpton, Ben Johnson, Bash.
I was on them last year. I remember.
Peter
and they completely blew me out the water.
Got a few transfers in. Billy Smith from Miami, Ohio is probably the guy that makes the biggest impact.
Yeah, I've seen him. He looks decent.
Desmond McKinney could be a backup point guard. North Dakota State transfer. Alec Freem, Langdon Hatton. I mean, very well executed offense that Davenport.
And it's funny, I didn't think they had depth last year, and they just had all these random guys come off the bench and run, their system flawlessly. So like, team like this doesn't even need to be that deep. They need to just have good, solid top end guys. And they do this year, good enough for sure, with Ben Johnson, Tipton, and then they have Freem down low. They definitely have enough for me.
November
20 I had my doubts.
November 29th, they play Louisville.
They're gonna win again. They're gonna win again.
They are. I fully believe that. Yeah, very, very solid team. Next up is North Florida. I have them 11th.
I have them 11th. They're bad.
Yeah, not a ton to like here. They
lost
they lost a lot from a team that wasn't all that good. Obviously, Placer, but Henderson was very good too. Jarius Hicklin was so-so, but somehow went high major. Jaden
Where
Parker
did he go
was
again?
Good. Oklahoma State. They took him and Mike Marsh from Jacksonville. What was Mike Boyan thinking? I don't know. But Hicklin's probably getting back. No shade to Hicklin, because if he can do that, then like might as well take it. Like the real person we should be calling out is the coaches for taking him. But I mean, if he can get his way in that scenario, like
there you go, man.
I fully applaud Hicklin
6 figs
getting him, and he better not be getting 6 figures. Like if we're giving Jarius Hicklin 6 figures, in might as well just give me 6 figures too. But yeah, Jaden Parker, Jonathan Ibar, 2 solid transfers. They lost 2. I just don't know what there is in this roster. Like,
yeah, it's bad.
Who's your best player? Dorian James, I guess. Nate Litteros is transferred. I do like Nate Litteros.
I literally clicked off the roster as I was looking at it because I was just so disgusted.
Like Oscar Berry, Chaslenier.
I'm like, who are these guys?
Is this team worse?
They might be.
They're kind of good coach. I like their coach.
Yeah, I do too. That's why
he's a fun guy. He's He's kind of disappointed in the last few years, but he's got a good entertaining.
They kind of performed in the conference tournament last year, I think.
Did they? I don't remember. But they actually had some guys last year.
But they did have talent. So
Dimitri Moss, a JUCO transfer, maybe gets some minutes at point guard. Jake Vanderheiden, big man from Bucknell, maybe he gets some minutes. AJ Hamrick from Polk State. Ja Enzi coming back. Trent Coleman, Max Schertica. There's some freshmen, Jalen Smith, Josiah Miles.
I will say this: they certainly don't have anyone as good as Cam Hunter.
No, they don't. Not at all.
So
At that point, though, they're the two worst teams. I don't think it
for
really
sure, it's not
matters.
close.
No. Next team, North Alabama. I had them 8th.
I have them 7th. No,
Okay. Yeah, I like this team.
I do
Definitely
too.
in like the top half, even though they're not top half. Definitely, there's a clear line somewhere. Very solid backcourt. KJ Johnson, Jakari Lane, Tim
Mm,
Tim Smith should provide a lot in the front court. Damian Forrest, solid as well. Marco Foster, former New Hampshire player, coming over from a JUCO
I
level
saw
now, but
that.
he was good in New Hampshire.
Yeah, he was.
Definitely could have gone D1 if that was his intention, but obviously not. Josiah Fulcher, Clarendon JUCO transfer, also could be another
Will
guy to watch
Susie.
out for. Yeah, returner Micah Clark, another JUCO guy, and then Jamal Abertson and the last JUCO guy. Really stacked up on the junior college prospects. Return a lot of their good guys too. Obviously, Johnson, Susie, Forrest Lane, Dallas Howell, Italian Brown, Owen Nelson. Yeah. So
Yeah, Elo Nelson from Wyoming. 2 years ago.
yeah, I remember that. He's
Hey,
not gonna play that
Wyoming
much, but
loves their redheads, man.
Nate Bernhardt. Who did they have any? They have Kenny Foster. He's hurt though for the whole
Nice.
season. This is the second time we brought up Wyoming on the podcast.
Hey, man, they're awesome.
Not their training staff isn't awesome though. Their strength and conditioning staff needs to be reevaluated. It's becoming a problem. Yeah.
The Armageddon crew.
I don't know who's handling it stuff. But yeah, I think very solid backcourt. I like Tim Smith in the front court. Should be a pretty solid team. Return a lot from last year. Almost 75% men's continuity returning.
Yeah.
So it's something I like to see. Their only significant loss really was Ortiz, who was a big loss. He could really shoot a ball, but
For sure.
everyone else really know they brought back. Next team, Lipscomb. I have them 4th, but it sounds like you might be a little lower on them.
Yeah, I'm not buying Lipscomb, and I probably should because they do have these breakout players every year.
Where do you have them?
I have them 10th.
Really? They were high up last year and they returned most of their good players. Like who did they lose? It's like that big of a loss that should drop them that much.
That's true. They still have Pruitt.
I mean, they lost Austin Asadula, but he was not that good last year.
Yeah, no, they didn't use him. It was weird.
Yeah, he just kind of got worse.
That's true.
Ognetovich kind of took over as number 1 option,
and
he was really good. Darren Boyd, solid double-digit score. Will Pruitt, 9.9 points, basically 10-point per game score. AJ McGinnis is a guy that obviously was on my breakout list. Owen McCormick, he's a big guy that can stretch the floor a little bit.
Here, McGinnis wasn't efficient. He was like 37%. Pruitt wasn't really all that efficient. Boyd's solid. And defensively, this team's really bad. But here's the thing though about the ASUN.
They weren't that bad defense last year, but
there's a lot of bad defensive teams in this
still
conference.
A good defender.
Well, now they're going to get even worse without him on defense. That's what you got to worry about. Ognetovich really isn't a defender.
He's definitely an offensive weapon. Very good offensive weapon at that.
Yes.
But Boyd's efficient.
Yeah, Boyd's pretty good. No.
Yeah.
But I will say Lipscomb does.
Pruitt's kind of efficient too. I mean, McGinnis isn't crazy efficient, but he's also not crazy inefficient.
And at least I think McGinnis gives you something on defense. I hope, because that backcourt is not defensively is where I have my concerns, and that's why I have them as low as I do. And I don't think they're really all that deep either.
Yeah,
unless there's some
Joe Anderson could play some backup point guard minutes.
I will say,
redshirt freshmen.
Lipscomb always has some really good freshmen that break out.
They do.
They've had that in years past. Cody Head seems like a guy. Yeah, I was looking at him too.
I think 10th is crazy though. Like they return a lot from a team that
I mean, I
was
don't just
pretty
look at
good.
returners
I
per
mean,
se.
but their
Conferences
returners, like if their
change.
returners are good.
Um, but then they still have the same issues.
Like
And I
Asadula
think,
was bad last year. He
but he was
was,
good on defense, and he makes their defense worse now that he's gone.
yeah, but he makes your offense so much better. Like their defense
I
was
mean, their
better than
offenses are their defense. I mean, their offense was already crazy last year.
their
Especially
defense was better than their offense.
was it
Like
act?
in Ken Palm.
That's hard to believe. They were scoring on offense in the conference tourney, and that's really the only time I watched them, to be fair. So, didn't get a ton of sample size
And
watching
their
them.
worst offensive player by far in terms of offensive rating was
Mm.
Asadula.
Oh, I
Um,
believe that he was. It was weird. He used to be so good too. Early in
he
his
used to be
career.
really good.
Um, I
Then just
remember
kind
when
of fell off a cliff.
remember when he would play like Scotty James. He was around then. He was in college basketball forever.
I remember in the conference tournament when he had like 40 points.
you know what? I might.
He was so good that year.
Mm,
And then I don't know what happened last year. He was not good. But yeah, Grant Asman was not efficient either, but I think he's a guy that could step up with still leaving. Very young player still.
mm.
McCormick could stretch the floor coming in from Presbyterian. Ognestovich, offensive weapon. Darren Boyd, AJ McGinnis, Will Pruitt, very, very solid backcourt. Joe Anderson from Furman gives him point guard depth. Yeah, I think you're not giving this team enough credit.
All
They're
right.
decent.
But then if I look at the backcourts in front of them that I have, I think Austin Peay definitely is a better backcourt. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Queens has a better backcourt. Um,
Mm,
McGee is better than anybody they have.
yeah, probably. But I like this
Um,
some. I mean like Lipscomb, like none of those three guys are gonna blow you away, but they're all very solid players.
yeah, fair enough. Um, then Kennesaw's backcourt I would take close, but I would take Kennesaw's.
I mean, I would take
Um,
Burden, but I would take the some of Lipscomb's.
I think KJ is going to be really good. I think he's going to be a real help for that backcourt at Kennesaw.
Who?
KJ Johnson.
RJ Johnson.
Oh, is it R? Yeah, so
KJ
many
Johnson.
KJ,
Yeah.
RJ. Oh God.
I don't know. He's a freshman. I don't know how much to
Still,
trust, but yeah, we'll see. Next team up though, Stetson. I have him sixth. You
I have
seem
him
really high in
second.
him now.
Um,
All those teams are so close. Really good backcourt punch. Swenson, Blackman returning. Blackman very good player. Yeah, I mean they were surprisingly good last year. There was a few good players, but
they're not incredibly deep. I will say that. That is
no,
something I
they
do
got
worry about.
Trayton Thompson from Minnesota.
I've seen
Ideally
that.
a stretch big, but wasn't really that good at anything in Minnesota.
I'm banging on these two freshmen to be good, and I've heard really good things about them. Read their, in-depth bios and
Yeah,
things like that. So, and they're
Josh
really
Smith.
highly rated.
Yeah, Josh Smith, very solid
Yeah,
returning
Smith is
forward.
good.
Sincere Harrison, backup point guard, could see some minutes. Yeah, Tristan Gross, Alex Doyle, Alvin Gaturetsi, backup big man, could play.
Naeem Lewis is a solid depth point guard from West LA College.
Okay, I don't have my chart, but I
Yeah,
probably missed him.
12 points
Yeah,
per game score at a really good JUCO. So
is that a good JUCO?
I mean West LA, they play with East LA.
Is
Last
he
chance
still
you.
it? I mean,
No, I mean East LA and West
yeah.
LA. Yeah, if you look at their records, 32-5, like they
Okay.
do. I mean, it's not the
Okay. Okay.
highest JUCO league in Cali, but
Yeah.
still some good players that come from those schools for sure.
Yeah. I just don't see how this team is 8 spots better than Lipscomb.
Mhm.
They're like,
Backcourt,
there's
the backcourt is much better, like the top
the
end
front court
talent.
is much worse.
Yeah, probably, but
And the coaching is not that much different. I don't
I
think
think
it's.
Stetson's coach is good. They overperformed him last year. I think he's definitely the better coach personally. But then again, Lipscomb did own them in the conference tournament too. So
Lipscomb's coach has been getting. I mean, last year was his best year. Last year was.
is he a new guy compared to
I
who
mean,
they
he's been
used
here
to
since
have?
2020, so somewhat,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Next team, no, Eastern Kentucky, easy first place in the league for me.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think they're gonna run away with the conference, quite frankly. They have nearly everyone back from a team that was playing amazing to end the season. Devontae Blanton's the main guy, can score, rebound, pass. But I also have some very solid guys like Kozar, elite rim protector, elite rebounder, very physical big. Michael Moreno can really stretch the floor for his size. You have the rising sophomore duo of Tayshawn Comer and Leland Walker. Pierce Thomas, the
Yeah,
Butler
Walker's very
transfer,
good too.
Pierce Thomas provides some athleticism, some firepower in the transfer portal. They also got Colin Cooper from Central Arkansas in the transfer portal. I mean, decent depth guard. Uh, they have some other guys, John Okumato, good athlete returning, Darden Capiti, should play some backup center minutes. Turner Boutry, Deshaun Jackson, Jackson Holt, David Onita, Robbie Todd, some more guys to round out their bench, but they just have so much backroom team that was playing amazing at the end of the season. Like, there's really not much more to say. I like A.W. Hamilton. Very, very fun team to watch again. They play fast.
Good
They have
coach.
some
Yeah.
guys that could really score. So, yeah. And anything else to say about them? I mean, really
No,
not a ton.
I
Like,
really hope
like
they can
most
get it
people are in the
done this
same.
year.
Yeah, most people
I
are on
want
the
to see
same
them in
page
the
here. Like, they're
tourney.
just
Yeah.
really good. Well, I seem to know Kennesaw. I had him third.
I got in the fourth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some questions to be had, but they still return Burden, Robinson. Maybe they have Juswan Holt. Probably not.
Yeah, I'm about to say I don't think he's a waiver. I was gonna put him on my transfer list. But
He's an
he,
interesting player. Jamel King though will be eligible. Not sure if he's going to be good, but has potential at least. Two formerly high major committed freshmen, Quincy Adamakoya, Cole LaRue, Simeon Cottle, Ranji Gordon from UAB, a few other freshmen.
mm,
Very, very solid roster still. We'll see if Petway can.
yeah, it just got to see what these down transfers are and things like that. When we
Mhm.
see that, I think we'll have a better area for where they can finish. It's still
Yes.
pretty nice that they're top three, top four, even after everything.
Yeah. Bird and Robinson, retaining those two guys was
That was big.
huge.
That was big for
Like,
sure.
I would not have expected them to do that
Mm-mm.
at all.
I expected them to be in green and gold for sure.
Mm-hmm. Or elsewhere, like your coach leaves, like might as well test see what's out there, even if you don't follow him. Like a lot of
Hmm.
times players just go their own separate ways, but nope, he stayed. And yeah,
Respect.
it's good. Yeah, for sure. And anything else about his conference? This is clearly Eastern Kentucky's conference. I would be very shocked if they don't win it.
Yeah, I mean, after Eastern Kentucky, it's going to be wild. Like a lot of these teams can really
Yeah.
finish anywhere
Like
from
like
2 to 10,
2 through 9, like Florida Gulf Coast,
2 through 9.
Kennesaw,
Yeah,
Lipscomb, Austin Peay, Stetson, Bellarmine, North Alabama, Queens. I think any of those teams could be like really good.
right. Yeah, no, you're rolling the dice with where any of those teams finish. I mean,
Yeah,
you could
it was
see
hard for me to
this is
place
this is
them.
the most different our standings have been in a little while. So that's all you need to know.
I
Um,
still think Lipscomb. You had Jacksonville ahead of Lipscomb.
Defense way better.
It's not way better.
I don't know.
Their offense is also way worse. I mean,
I don't
Lipscomb had
know.
a better defense than Jacksonville last year, I think. Pretty sure about that. Yeah, Lipscomb had the third best defense in the conference.
Did they
Jacksonville had like the
actually?
seventh.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Osceola was good, but he was also such a negative in offense.
When now when I
So
think of Lipscomb, usually, I think offense,
yeah, they
offense,
were actually
offense.
a little
But
down
last
in
year they
offense
were the
last year.
reverse. It's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
And when I watched them play in the conference tournament, it was kind of like that too. So I was like, well, it's interesting that they were like that.
Should
Yeah, I
be a
didn't.
better offensive team this
Yeah,
year without
I would think
Osceola.
so. I think it's going to be returned to normal Lipscomb this year. With
Yes.
offense being their best attribute.
Yeah, but I guess probably nothing much else to say about the conference. Should be a good one. I think Eastern Kentucky could
Do
do you
some
think they could
damage
win
in the
do you think they could
tournament
win a game?
too.
Yeah, I mean
They
like
definitely
Blanton's
can.
yeah, I
Just
think they
think of
can.
how they play. They shoot so many threes.
Mhm.
They're huge with threes.
They have enough athletes. Like Blanton is a high major athlete. Kozar is at least a very physical body. I
That's the one
mean,
thing you kind of worry about is the glass with them. But
yeah, but
they're
I
kind
mean,
of.
and Kozar's elite
I think
there,
they're a little
so
bit better version of Kennesaw last year. They're very similar. A lot of shot creating guards, shoot a lot of
mhm.
threes. Actually, I don't think Kennesaw shot a lot of threes last year. No, they didn't. They were just a lot of shot creating mid range guys. Um, but EKU does do a lot better on the perimeter.
They didn't shoot a ton of threes either.
Yeah. They both play
But
fast. They do have a lot of
Moreno's their
similarities.
main shooter.
Yeah, Moreno. It's funny how I
He
actually left
killed
him
it.
off all conference. I didn't think I
He
would.
he was I was so close to putting him
I
on.
shoot him in of like first team at first, thinking, oh, he's got to
He's
be
not that
first
good.
team. And then
He's
I
very
kept
good though.
knocking him down, and I'm like, wow, interesting. Because that's how I usually do my conference teams. I shoe in guys that I
Mhm.
know and see how much I move them down depending on.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's about time for another conference preview. So we will go off air for a little bit here. Yeah, if you've listened so far, make sure to give us a follow on our social media accounts at Hoopscoop Media, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you may please. We're definitely working on getting a lot of content pumped out on that platform. Definitely excited for the season starts in a few days. As we wrap up our conference previews, definitely super excited for the season. Just everything at this point is we're almost there. Like we're podcasting right now on a Thursday night. Like once the weekend's over, we have college basketball. Like it's basically the weekend now, Friday. I mean, yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
we are off to do the Patriot League next.